All right, welcome back. Approaching the green, Olympic edition. It's the Olympics all week. I've been stressing, surfing. Most of my Olympic money has been on medal bets, like how many medals certain countries will get. So I've been stressing, especially when I have an under and an over going head to head. That went the wrong way. That wasn't great. So I will be adding a bunch of golf so I can stress that. If you watched Brown Bag Bets earlier this week, I put some outrights out. I made some top 20 bets. I wasn't real sure we'd have a lot of markets for this. I was surprised at what we got. I'm happy that there's something. I like to have some action. This is golf that's going to start at 5, and Pam and I are both Central Time, so I feel good talking Central Time. It is the best time zone, but
Mm-hmm.
5:30 p.m. Central tomorrow, Wednesday, is when golf technically starts. The men will play 4 rounds, and then the women will use the same course. It'll be shortened a bit, and they'll play the same course. That'll be interesting. After it's only 60 guys, but they're gonna play a full tournament on it, and then have the women play on it. It'll be interesting to see what the rough looks like after that. Although they are getting used to all these fans at all these courses, the PGA, and now we're back to no fans.
And
Did you want to take a run at pronouncing this?
I'm probably gonna butcher it, but let's go. Freestyle it. It is Kasumigaseki
Yes.
Country Club. I think I nailed it.
You did nail that. I practiced a bunch today already.
I think I nailed that. So 2016 was the first year that the Olympics for golf came back into the lineup, and it was after a 112-year hiatus. So that's kind of a really big deal, not only for the country of for Tokyo and Japan, but also for just the Olympics and men's golf in general. Justin Rose did win in 2016. He shot 16 under. So if there's anything that we can pull from that to this to help us with this tournament is you got to be a good putter. That's as much as we can get off from 16 under. And he shot 17 birdies in that tournament. And this tournament is a 72 hole stroke play. So that means it's 4 days of golf with no cut.
Yeah, and that's why we it will be a little different today. We don't have. I didn't see hole in one markets. I don't know if I'd want to try to bet it here. Usually
Right.
we do will someone miss or make the cut. So we are not doing that because nobody's going to make or miss the cut. Everybody's through to the weekend unless they withdraw. So a little more freestyling. Like I didn't know what I was. I was like, oh, I should think of some categories, and I decided I'm like, yeah, let's just freestyle it. Like literally add whatever you want. So we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
go with that. We'll do the normal stuff, the outrights, the head-to-heads. I just parred the first one. You can kind of see it. It's a longer course, but it's a Parkland course. Like it's
Right.
pretty decent, easy fairways. If you can hit the ball off the tee with any degree of accuracy, you're gonna find the fairway. If you're a good approach player, these greens are pretty big. The only person who I think is in the field who's actually played this is Matsuyama. It
Mm-hmm.
was the 2010. I had to write this down. Asia Pacific Amateur Championship, and
Mm-hmm.
technically it wasn't on this course. It was on the West course. So this is a
Right.
36 hole golf course. He played the other one, but at least he's been here. He is one of the favorites, obviously, after winning the Masters. And yeah, Dan in the chat says we can do a 60 leg parlay on everybody making the cut. I'm not sure they would take that. I did, there were some interesting questions about that because, before we get to the bets here, they will be doing playoffs. If two men are tied for third, that's a
Correct.
medal. So they'll be doing a playoff for that. If two men are tied for second, they'll do playoffs for that sort of thing too. So somebody had like will there be a playoff bet? And he's like, I wonder if they'd honor this if there was a playoff for second or third. And I'm like, I don't know. You'd have to dig in. I'm not sure they'd even have an answer for that off the bat. But yeah, the we don't have much on this course. I did play it yesterday. I did a bunch of research, but it looks like a fairly easy-ish course that's kind of long. And yeah, if you can nail these greens and make some putts on bent grass, I think you're going to do all right. There's a lot of names you don't normally see, but let's fire away with some outrights. Pam, what's your first bet off the bat?
So I think anybody can win. I think there's not to take that back. I think there's a select few number of players that can win. So of this select few, any of them can win. And so I'm gonna roll with Abraham Answer at plus 2,500. And I think I kind of have a theme with this one. Um, him and I were born in the same city, so I'm just gonna like represent. This is the Olympics. I'm representing for my hometown here. He's representing for the Rio Grande Valley of Texas, which is the southern tip. And but he plays pretty well. He does have a game that can contend in this pot. He's done really, really well in his last like 10-ish tournaments. He did take fourth at the Travelers. He took 14th at Charles Schwab. He took 8th, 10th, and 5th in 3 tournaments back to back to back. But he is coming off 59th at the Open. But I'm not worried about that because it is the Open. The field is much tougher. This field is much softer, and this course is a little bit easier as well. But he has a really great ball striking abilities, and there's a long stretch there where he lost strokes putting. He completely 180'd that, and he is gaining strokes putting in 6 of his last 7 tournaments. So I like him to do well at this tournament and potentially finish in the top 10. And if you put anyone in the top 10, then consider them for a shot at winning.
Yeah, it's tough to say what the final score will be here. I think probably 10 to 15 range is reasonable. If the course plays easy, the weather looks okay. It's going to be hot. So I actually, you know what? I'll put minus 11. 11 under wins this thing. There'd probably be a lot of guys in contention. There's a lot of weird names, but there's a lot of big names here. And Answer is somebody I did have on my outright card already this week, so I fully support the Rio Grande Valley. So I took a different guy, a guy we've backed a little bit here and there, not to a ton of success, I don't feel like, but he's had a bunch of good golf, and as you can see, I put one in the rough there. My cowboy hat guy isn't very happy about that. But I think if you catch some of the edges of these greens, there are some runoff areas. So it'll be interesting to see how much rain we get, how soft these greens are, if they can catch it with some of these darts. But yeah, Connor's 6 top 10s since last year's Masters. He's and 12 top 20s. He can, and will play just as well as some of these other guys in this course. I grabbed him at an earlier price as well. I think he's good down to like 25, 26 to 1. Only downside to his game is the short game a little, some of the putting around the green stuff. But even that, it's like, well, this is the worst part of your game. It's still good. Like, it's still above average or at average with the field. Mm-hmm. So if that's the worst thing I can say about him, I'll take him, especially when some of these top guys are, 10 to 1 or under. So getting him at almost 30 to 1 feels pretty good. And there was no shortage of chances to take long shots. I know somebody who bet a 300 to 1 shot here. There's some big numbers because some of these guys they're not even European tour guys. They're playing on real alt tours, but we didn't get quite that wild on long shot. Although you took a big swing here.
I am taking a big swing. It is Mito Pereira. He is plus 8,000. And the theme of my picks is kind of like Texas theme. We ran first with Abraham Answer, who's from my hometown. And then Mito Pereira, he actually went to Texas Tech University. So Texas, let's keep it going. But he only has 4 official PGA Tour starts. He missed the cut in his PGA debut. He's coming off the Korn Ferry Tour. He had back-to-back wins, which set him up for getting into the PGA officially. And he followed up that miscut by taking 34th at the John Deere. He took 5th at the Barbasol, and he took 6th at the 3M Open. His ball striking is super solid. He has gained 7, 8, and 4 strokes ball striking. And at the 3M Open, which is a bent grass course, this is a bent grass course. He gained nearly 4 strokes putting, so I like him. Those were easier field competitions compared to this, at least compared to like not having a Justin Thomas, not having someone like a Hideki. However, I think his ball striking is too good, too solid to ignore. So let's take a long shot on big time, I would say, an upset.
Yeah, Mito's he got 5th and 6th his last couple tournaments. He played really well at 3M. I'm trying to think who all else played at that tournament this year at the Olympics. At Vegas, Reed, and man, that maybe Mackenzie Hughes, a couple other, maybe a Canadian or two, maybe another South American. But yeah, there weren't a ton of guys. I don't know if there's a huge disadvantage outside of one guy who his travel is going to be a little tougher than some of the other people's. And you can see some of these fives are pretty long. That par 5, I hit driver off the deck because in the game it won't do what would normally happen in real life, where you just like hurt your arm or like break a wrist doing that. But like driving that par 5 and 2, that's going to be really tricky for almost anybody because it's like a 600-yard hole. So there is going to be some length. That's my only worry. I did back Answer. That's my worry about him. Is like, man, he's like 5'2". He doesn't have the length. Hopefully, as long as his approach game is working. I took the coward's way out on long shots. I did a top 10 like we do sometimes. And I'm maybe I'm not going to nail this name too because he's French and I feel like they soften everything up. But Antoine Rosenail, maybe they give it a soft R. I have not had
Antoine.
any luck backing these French guys. There's been a couple that they've little trendy-ish picks and they've played well a little on the European tour, but I haven't had a French make me any money. He's actually a guy who's won a tournament this year though on the European tour earlier, I believe February or March. He won down at I think it was Qatar. He's on, some of these guys that I back, and if you follow some of my golf stuff, this happens a lot. Where, especially on bent grass, I am willing to bet people who are on team can't putt worth a shit. That's the weakness of his game. That's kind of where he sits. But
Hmm.
it might not matter with his tee to green numbers. If he's hitting these greens like he has in the past, like he has on the European Tour, I think he's going to be just fine. And he pays plus 600 to make the top 10. There's only like 60 guys. It's not going to be too tricky if you have some decent rounds. A few guys don't play well. And that's the other thing about this tournament. I do wonder about the guys that are playing the weekend that maybe have a couple bad rounds. Like, what's the
Right.
motivation? There's no paychecks. Like, you make the cut. Well, you want to keep playing, have a good round, make a few. An eagle could be worth 30 grand. On Sunday. Doesn't matter where you're on the leaderboard. But outside of the medals, like the motivation coming into the weekend is going to be weird for some of these bigger names. Or I think some of
Right.
these lesser players might have some motivation. But Rosner top 10. If I'm saying his name right, then we'll hit some matchups now.
I'm gonna go for my marquee. There aren't too many marquee players, so my marquee heads up is gonna be Rory McIlroy plus 110 underdog to Justin Thomas. I've already seen on Twitter that a lot of people are actually on Thomas over Rory, so that's a little bit of a worry. However, I think if you just look at the last 24 to 36 rounds, like who has been the better ball striker? Rory. Who has been the better putter? Rory. Who has been the better tee to green? Rory. Just overall, collectively, as of late, it has been Rory. And Justin Thomas, he's kind of all over the place. He's either losing strokes off the tee, he's either losing strokes on his irons, he's either losing strokes putting. I mean, he can't really collectively do it all together. And I like somebody who has a solid ball striking ability, and that is definitely Rory, who has gained strokes ball striking in four straight events compared to Justin Thomas, who has lost strokes in two out of his four. So you're kind of getting a 50-50 on him. So I'll go with kind of the more consistent player as of late. Long term, maybe yeah, Justin Thomas would be it. Short term, I'm going to roll with Rory.
Yeah, and getting plus 110. I just checked my numbers. I make these guys pretty close. Rory can be a little sprayy off the tee, but these are big fairways. I don't know if I'm too worried about him on a course like this. And yeah, getting him at a plus number for probably the same, right around the same golfer, if not a little better. I don't mind that at all. Yeah, there's like big names, but there's not like a glut of them. Like the
Right.
biggest, there's some big American names, some big English names, but then yeah, there's not a ton. So I went further down just to fade Patrick Reed. Patrick Reed was in Minneapolis late. I mean, I did talk about a few guys that were playing at the 3M this week that will be at the Olympics, but he didn't know he was going to play at the Olympics. It was a late announcement with the Bryson DeChambeau withdrawal based on his COVID. So
Mm-hmm.
Reed was not tested up. He wasn't ready to go prepping to fly out. He is going, and this already happened. Some of this already happened, but he's flying from Minneapolis to Houston to finish his testing. You got to test negative 3 times in three 24-hour periods or whatever. And then from Houston to San Fran direct to Tokyo. He's going to get to Tokyo in, what was it, Wednesday afternoon local time. The tournament starts
Mm-hmm.
Thursday. And essentially him and his guys have said, like, he's probably not getting a practice round, which
Right.
isn't the end of the world, but it's not great. Like, you would like to take a look at this course, as I just 80-foot putt ended up on the fringe. I need to watch some of these putters. If some of these people are going to be hitting some of these collection areas off putts, that's not going to go well for them. Maybe I am worried about team can't putt for shit, but yeah. Answer, I said, I had some worries about him with the length, but Reed, I don't know. If not getting a look at the course and having the late entry into this, I can't think that's an advantage. I had Answer over him already by a little bit, so I'm getting plus 100. Happy to take it. And yeah, there was some. I didn't get too weird with down the board stuff. I don't think you did either. You actually stuck with Answer on
No,
this. We're all over
I am.
Answer today.
We're all over Answer, so hopefully he doesn't let us down. But I'm gonna roll with Abraham Answer minus 150 over Christian Bezuidenhout, and it's just kind of the same thing. Christian, all he really has is a short game, and he hasn't even really had that as of late. So I'm gonna go with Abraham Answer, who is good off the tee. He is good with his irons. He is good from tee to green. He struggles a little bit with his putting, but as I mentioned, he's starting to come. He has come around to it, so maybe he can continue on that trend. And if you look at strokes gained total in the last 16, 18, 24, in the last like 36 rounds, Answer has had better results, had better total strokes gained total than Christian Bezuidenhout. And if we're going off of collective, then that's going to be Abraham Answer for me. I'm willing to put up the 150 price.
Yeah, I like him quite a bit. He was the first one that stuck out for me for outrights. I'm not gonna let myself get in my head on this. I'm not scared of him as we hit the turn with the 32. Not bad. I got a new putter cover at the 3M, so I gotta now I gotta go golfing to test it out, see if it helped my game at all. Usually doesn't. New equipment never helps anyway for me anyway. I went with Hughes fade with Jonathan with the H in the wrong spot. Vegas. He's a guy I kind of followed around. I had an outright on him last week, and he still opened up at he played very well. He lipped out two eagle putts. I followed him 16, 17, 18. Lipped out two eagle putts on 16 and 18, lost by 2 strokes. Kind of a disaster 17 where he left a couple of putts short. He could have been there, could have been in a playoff. I would have loved that because I had him on an outright and I wanted to make a bunch of money and cheer for him. But he's still playing well enough. I backed him in the outright market again this week because there were some 80, 85s on him. But playing him over Hughes is kind of a no-brainer. I've been fading McKenzie here and there. Yeah, this is kind of a numbers play, getting minus 110. There are some other books that were hanging this at kind of a higher number. I looked at it and I'm like, I could lay 120, and then I found it for 110. I'm like, oh, this is my guy. So Jonathan Vegas is Jesus. Another putt is just I don't know. Maybe I need to check the settings. I just putted into a damn sand trap. I will quick story on that too. The first hole of golf that I got to watch live ever was I'm trying to think of the guy, but it took him 3 shots to get out of a bunker, and the third shot was just a 25-yard shot into the next bunker. And he was Cameo Villegas, South American guy, and he said something that seemed like a bad word in Spanish or something because he was very upset at what was going on.
Probably.
Yeah, so I know I can feel his pain there, but yeah, Vegas over Hughes for me, and that takes us to freestyle because this would have been make the cut as I just doubled that hole.
Yeah,
My
so
goodness.
instead of having a miscut, I'm gonna go with pancake. This kind of doesn't really have too much rhyme or reason here. It's gonna be a pancake total, like swing at it. First round leader bet for Xander Schauffele at plus 1200. He is one of the favorites of the tournament and one of the favorites to do well on day one. But it's Xander Schauffele. He has a good overall game. He's good with his irons. He's good with his ball striking. He can putt. And what do we typically see from Schauffele is he kind of is at the top of the leaderboard, rounds 1, 2, and 3, and then for whatever reason he can't ever close it out. And so I think that he has a chance here to be one of the better players, just because collectively he is a solid player. There's not really anything fault of his own. And in round 1 betting, he actually is like a top 20 player for round 1 scoring. So, I mean, just throwing darts to the wall here as these round 1 leader bets are total chaos. But pancake bets, we're freestyling. Let's have some fun with it.
I haven't looked at tee times either, but the best is getting one of these first round leaders in the morning. They put up a really good score, and then you just get to sit and sweat. Different here, not as nearly, but you could sweat like 90 guys after that, just waiting. And every time somebody starts at like 4 under through 6, you're like, shit, it's dead. I didn't go too differently. This was one I found, I believe, at DraftKings, kind of my way to back Morikawa. Morikawa came through for me a few weeks ago. I want to back him here. Honestly, if my raw numbers, he's the best golfer in the field right now. With my raw numbers, he's my number 1 golfer. I make his outright price pretty much just nuts on. I can't play it. It's close. This is probably not even that much better. Essentially, it's a parlay, but you're not getting the full price because it's correlated to shit. So it's Morikawa to lead round one,
Okay.
and then win. So both have to happen. It's not the same. I've seen wire to wire bets, which I believe they have to lead every round, and those are always
Correct.
like 100 to 1 and stuff like that. I've not that I haven't bet those at certain places, just throwing away some money, but this is 28 to 1, and it is super correlated. Like if he does end up leading round one, just his odds of winning are obviously increased tenfold. Oh my god, my putters! I might have to go buy a new putter after this, just in the game, if this is what's going to happen. But yeah, Morikawa round one plus the win. I'm not putting much on this. This is a absolute pancake bet, like Pam would say, because I guess it's my way to back Morikawa because I did want to back him and I just couldn't do it at the prices.
Right.
Nationalities. I like how you zigzagged on this because I did too. Because we can't win these, like ever. Like what?
But this is a heads up match. Every nationality bet only has two players for the most part, except for the US, who has four. So
Yep.
it's a 50-50. You're getting some really good odds here on a 50-50. And if I like Mito Pereira to potentially come out with like a surprise win for the tournament, yes, it's super hard to do. Yes, there's players like Justin Thomas and Hideki and some of the bigger names up at the top, Rory. But if I like him to do well in this tournament for a top 10 finish, then I would like him in a head-to-head 50% chance over fellow countryman Joaquin Niemann. So I am taking Pereira, the best Chilean, and I just like his game right now. I think Joaquin Niemann, I used to love him a couple months ago when he had back-to-back second place finishes, but he is team no putt, and Mito Pereira at least seems to have the ability to putt. And he had on the Corn Ferry Tour, he did shoot 27 under, 21 under in those tournaments that he won. And I don't know, maybe this tournament, maybe this course has a lot of similarity to some of those higher scoring tournaments. So if I like the better putter, that's going to be Mito Pereira. And at plus 160 underdog, you're getting some value there in a 50-50 shot.
Yeah, I think for sure. The way I'd have to go look at I kind of want to know where you found this one. Was this DraftKings?
Yeah.
I don't hate this at all. Yeah, I have Mino rated pretty high just off some of his play lately. I kind of like this because Neiman hasn't been all that exciting for me lately. I also, I mean, essentially you're just betting a matchup, which is great because if Mito plays well, you're probably getting that one home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't truly believe in Neiman. I found this. I don't know if this counts as a nationality bet, but I'm going to. I bet America to win the gold. So
Okay.
this is, I mean, it's just basically getting the four outrights. And
Yeah.
I looked at it and I said, well, like, am I getting jobbed? Should I? Because I was worried about that. I'm like, should I just take the four outrights and figure out how to balance them right and make those bets? And I looked and I converted all the odds. I took the average odds in a few market making books. I averaged them out. I turned them into probabilities. I added them all together, and it came out to 38.7% with the vig still in. Like I didn't remove the vig, and this plus 160 implies 38.5. So getting 2/10 of value if you don't think the vig is too bad in this market. And honestly, it was close enough where I wasn't gonna go try to balance those four out. So essentially, getting Reed, JT, Morikawa, and Xander all in one for the outrights, and I get to back America. I have an America alt gold win total over
Mm-hmm.
46 and a half that is all but dead. Like we've lost a bunch of coin flips. Things haven't gone good for that bet. I'm counting it as a loss. I'm gonna need like an American to win maybe the women's tennis. I don't even know if we have one alive yet. I need a bunch of things to go right. So if this goes right, that's an added bonus, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, America to win the gold plus 160. Again, it's about the same as taking those four outrights. So it's like adding a bunch of outrights to my card. Freestyle number two. Just this was hole in one. It's not offered anywhere. We're on a cold
No.
streak with that anyway, so we're just freestyling again.
I'm gonna go Sungjae Im at minus 145. We all know what the storyline is, that both him and Siwoo Kim are Koreans who are trying to medal so that way they don't have to do the 2-year commitment set on by their country to be in the military. I think Sungjae overall, if you look at his career, he is a top 20 player. He just hasn't been playing like one as of late. The best part of his game is his irons. He's kind of off and on with that. best part of his game was his putting. He's kind of off and on with that. So, but I mean, he did take some time off after the John Deere Classic was the last time that we saw him in July 11th, and then before that, hadn't really seen him since the U.S. Open. They've been focusing on preparing for this tournament. I would trust him more than I would Siwoo Kim, and at minus 145, I think that's a fair price considering the field. I think he is definitely a top 20 player in a field of 60, so I think he can come out with the top 20 here.
Yeah, I might add this and just bet it enough to cover the bet I'm about to make. Similar, this was something I was eyeing. I just went full chili on it. I played Sung Jae to medal. I found two
Nice.
medal markets, which is, a top three market, 8-1. Same, it is a bit of a narrative, but I have his average finish in the top 10. I do think he can be a good player. I like that he took some time off. I hope, a narrative is a narrative, but when a narrative is kind of serious, like it's a real thing. Like I'm sure he's taking this very seriously. You know how big those checks are on the tour. Like I would rather get those checks than learn how to drill or whatever, like South Korean base camp. What do you call it? What do you call it? Basic training. That's what I was trying to come up with. Like that doesn't sound nearly as fun as maybe going to Hawaii in January, playing some golf, and Texas, Florida. I would hope he's very focused. Hope they're both focused. So I did bet him to medal at plus 800. I probably will have some top 20 on him. See what like 145 is probably a pretty reasonable number for a guy that I have placing in the top 10 on average. So Sung Jae, we wish you the best of luck. I would love that'd be just a great narrative too. Like as far as the as far as the TV people, like getting to say like this guy played his way to getting to get out of some mandatory military service. Now he gets to stay on the tour. So good luck, Sung Jae. Hopefully we catch both these, and we're down at the end. This is the actual wild card pancake bet. Like these are the normal ones that we do every week.
It's not really like a pancake bet because the odds are pretty small. It's plus 100, but I'm going to take Jonathan Vegas for a top 20 at plus 100. If I like for this course a player who does really well with their irons and really well putting, then as of late, that is definitely Jonathan Vegas, who has just been absolutely crushing with his ball striking. He has just had a really good run. He took second at the 3M Open. He took 11th at the John Deere, and he is typically off and on with this putter. However, in both events, back to back, his last two, he did gain strokes putting, and he's been pretty neutral around the green. So if he can continue on that trend collectively of a good approach, neutral around the green, even neutral putting, then I believe that he can definitely finish here within the top 20.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He's my guy. I'd like to say I hung out with him. It just means I walked near him. I was working my way backwards to find him, and I seen some people standing off in the rough, and I'm like, oh, there's a ball there, and like, yeah, that's Vegas's ball. I'm like, oh, that's not good. But it was day 4, and it's where everyone was walking, and honestly, the rough was so beaten down. Like that's a big difference having fans back. The fans get to beat the rough down, and it wasn't that bad. He took it, put it right on the green with the second shot. Ended up, I think he made a decent bird there. I'm gonna have to double check, but yeah, Vegas. He is my guy for life now because me and him bonded. We looked at each other a little there during the tournament, and yeah, top 20. I like that a lot. I took this. This will probably be the wildest of wild cards, maybe all time. Oh boy, this is a 3-ball, and if you're unfamiliar, 3-ball, you're betting, a group of 3 players. You're betting on one of them to place the best of the 3. But it's only a round 1 3-ball. So this is only for the first round. That'll happen again starting at like 6:30 Eastern on Wednesday. This is happening pretty early because it's in Japan, and it is Uvik Pagunsan, who is a like 40-something Filipino golfer who plays on not the European tour, the Japanese tour. He is playing in this area a lot. I put out a long shot on Scott Vincent, who is in this group. He's another guy who plays on the Japanese tour. So the 2 other players he needs to beat are Fabrizio, I have written down, Zanotti, a Paraguayan, so it's Paraguay. He's a Euro Tour guy. He hasn't won an event for like 4 years. He hasn't been much of a threat. He had an okay spring. I'm not too worried about him. Like I said, I bet Vincent top 20 just because it was a hilariously high number, and he does play over here on the Japanese tour. But I went and looked at a bunch of Japanese tour results because that's what I do with my afternoons. And oh man, Pagunsan,
But
Paginson. Oh, somebody's gonna have to help me with this and just tell me if I'm getting this even closer or not. Paginson actually won on the Japanese tour like 6 weeks ago. He's playing very well right now. He won the Gateway to the Open, Mizuno Open, which was the whole name of the tournament, which is a weird name. And Vincent was there. He beat Vincent by 11 strokes during that tournament. So getting him at plus 190 in a 3-ball here versus the Paraguayan I'm not worried about, and a guy he's been beating of late. So I'm
I feel
just
like this is a super deep dive.
yeah.
Named
I'm
three
proud.
brand new players.
Yeah, I don't think I'd heard of any of these guys before I dug into some of this Olympic stuff. So yeah, and shout out to Dan, the producer, for finding. He puts the little pictures. He found a picture, and from my research, that looks just like the guy I was looking at. So good job finding. I'm gonna give it a soft J. Juvic. I'm not sure what the Filipino language does with the J. That'll be something for a different episode. Um, I had a bad back 9. I turned the wind up. I only shot even par. There's no course record that I was gonna find, so doesn't matter. Putting was shit today. I tried hard. Quick little recap before we let you go enjoy. Honestly, the Olympics probably, if you're watching this live, the Olympics are starting in like an hour, man. Their swimming's probably firing up soon. So, answer Connors 25 and 28 to 1 for outrights. Mito Pereira at 80 to 1. Long bomb from Pam. I took the Frenchman Rosner top 10 at 6 to 1. Rory at plus money over JT. I took Answer over Reed. Again, plus money. You took Answer over, oh man, Bazudenhout. I'm not great with that one either. Vegas over Hughes for me. And then for all the freestyling stuff, Xander first round leader, 12 to 1. Xander, I mean, I have him like 4th, I think, in my modeling this week. He has a damn good shot at that. I took Morikawa prop, round 1 leader plus the win at 28 to 1. More Mito for you. Mito over Neiman as the top Chilean. I cheated with just America to win the gold at plus 160. Sung J M for your top 20 bet and your freestyle 2. We did a lot of Sung J. We're just cheering for him to go low here. I took him to medal at 8 to 1. And then the wildcard was, these weren't big numbers, but I feel like mine was pretty wild based on the names of the players. Johnny Vegas top 20 at even money, which I think I'm actually going to add that to my card too, as much as I love that guy. And then Juvic Pagunsan, round 1, 3-ball, plus 190 over Fabrizio Zanotti and Scotty Vincent. And that's the Olympics, man. I didn't bet any. Somebody gave me a women's outright, and I don't remember what it was, but I did bet a woman at 20 to 1 too in the women's golf because I want something to sweat. And you can sweat this for eight days. Yeah, you can sweat this for 8 days. So, all right, Pam, I will wish everyone some luck. Thanks to you. Thanks to WinBet. Thanks to the people who built this course in like the 20s. It's an old ass course. It was like, and it's been redone. It was like British people who built it, of course. And this was actually shut down during World War II for a bit. And then I think they came in and redid it again. I think Fazio came in and redid this. So this course has a long history. It's interesting if you go find any of the articles this week. Hopefully you get to watch a little since it'll be in the evenings. And yeah, best of luck with all your bets.
Good luck with your bets.